Hey guys, in today's video I wanted to sort of unbox and review / give my first impressions of the Poemsaboutyou handmade watercolors, and these are from a small business in Washington DC, so pretty close to where I am currently and very close to where I grew up. And I was super excited. I was on Etsy and I was looking at these and I was just so inspired to paint when I saw them, so I picked up a couple colors and these are my thoughts. First off, they all come packaged individually and each has the color name handwritten on the side of the little pan. The packaging is so cute and minimal. It's just enough so that it arrives in good condition, but it's not wasteful, which I really appreciate. And all of these colors are single pigments with high light fastness. Each color has its individual properties listed in the description, but all of them are single pigments. And when you purchase these little pans, you can select whether you prefer the pan to have a magnet on it at the bottom or not. And they come in a little tin, so this depends on what kind of palettes you want to put it in, but I chose to have a little magnet. I liked the tiny tin that it came in, but I didn't account for how many colors I was going to have. So when I was activating these, the initial activation is so quick. They're super smooth and creamy, and they were just so pleasant to work with, like super buttery, and I just love them. I'll have all the colors that I bought listed down below. Some of these are earth pigments and some of them are mineral pigments. I'm not currently like super professional at watercolors and pigments, pigment properties, light fastness, transparency, granulation. I'm not very familiar with all of these things, but I'm trying to learn. So I thought these paints would be another fun step in that direction. First off, I want to say thank you so much to the owner of this shop. She was so sweet and gifted me 6 extra colors. They're the topper of swatches, which I had sent her I didn't really know which colors would work well for the palette that I wanted. I wanted a limited color palette that worked with some of I really loved the darker greens and the indigos in the colors that she makes. So I asked her what her recommendations were for a palette for me, and when I received my colors, I ordered 12. She sent me an extra 6 because she thought that I would really enjoy the colors that she picked out for me, and I honestly did. I love them so much, and I would never have chosen the super bright, I think it's called Cobalt Aquamarine, but it was so fun. A little bit about these pigments. Each of them, as I said, has their own pigment properties, but from her Etsy store, the description, it says, made in a small batch with a use of natural and organic materials. The pigment is combined with organic gum arabic, organic honey, organic essential oil for preservative, and vegetable glycerin. There are no other additives or fillers, just pure pigment. So I love the word organic. I don't know about you. So I was really jazzed when I had seen what these pigments were made out of. As I said, I'm not in the whole high fancy watercolor art scene, but I was really happy that these paints were focused on as much pigment as possible and that the materials in these were as minimal as possible and there was as little filler. So I think that these are so great. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be gushing about these paints for the whole video, just so you know. So for the colors that I selected, I knew the main colors that I wanted to use for my painting, and what really attracted me to these paints were some of the rich and deep colors available. I sent her My neighbors are insane. Why do they scream like this? I'm so happy I'm moving. They're so annoying. I had originally intended on purchasing 6 colors, but since I didn't know how to most effectively set up this palette, I messaged the shop owner and asked her what her recommendations were. So she told me which colors that she thought I would enjoy, and in the end I caved and I bought 12 colors because I was like, what the heck? I wanted the colors that I got. And then she sent me an extra 6, so I ended up with 18 colors, which is a lot more than the original 6 for like a little mini palette that I had wanted. So I was a little bit overwhelmed because I wanted this palette to be a very like limited special kind of palette, you know, not like a general broad one like the other ones that I have. I wanted it to be like catered to a specific look. I don't know if that makes sense, but I was a little overwhelmed by the colors and I didn't rearrange the pans. So this is for a future reference. I am definitely going to rearrange the pans, and I'm hoping to maybe even split them up into 3 little palettes that all have like a specific look and theme going, just because I feel like that would make them a little bit more effective for me. But this is not at all the paint's fault or the seller's, you know what I mean. It was just I didn't organize them properly. However, because I had a lot of colors to choose from, I decided to mix some colors and see how they mingled, how they interacted, and which colors went with which. And I made a little thumbnail to see if the colors for the painting that I wanted to create, if they all worked together. But I was super excited to start painting with these, so I made a sketch on my Arches hot press watercolor paper, and I taped that off with some washi tape so it could be masked off, and then I started paint. So for all of the brushes and the other supplies that I'm using in this video, they will be listed down in the description. All of the colors of paint that I purchased in order are going to be listed down in the description. So anything that I'm not really covering in this voiceover or like in the video, I will have down in the description. Let's talk about my thoughts on these paints. First off, I'm just gonna cut right to the chase. I recommend them both for their quality and for supporting small businesses. I think it's super important, especially during this time, to support small businesses. I really like small businesses. I love my local art shop here, and I just think it's so cool that there's a community of artists, and it's just really inspiring to me. So I really loved the personal touch that these watercolors had, and I know a lot of people are like that. A lot of times you'll pay like a little extra for that personal touch, so I 100% recommend these just for quality. I would be completely honest if I didn't enjoy them. I didn't think the quality was good if I had a problem with them. And again, this is not like a sponsored video. I just had seen these on Etsy and I really wanted to give them a try because they look so fun. And I thought it would like really help me try something new. So my order of 12 colors was $101, which is pretty pricey. I understand that. However, these are really high quality colors, and as I said, you're sort of paying a little bit more for it being a small business and having a personal touch. So I personally recommend it. I would pick up 6 colors from the shop for a small limited palette, and I think that's what the shop really does well, is catering to specific color palettes that are more indulgent. I don't know if that's the right word, but I felt really like good about myself painting with these paints. I guess it's like when you have a self-care day and you're like using a bath bomb or like nice skincare kind of thing. Using a nice paint that had a lot of thought that went into it is just like a really fun feeling, and it was really an enjoyable experience painting with these, as opposed to if I just used my Holbein paints. So it's just kind of like a different experience / mindset for why you'd purchase this paint as opposed to like a bigger tube. One thing that I was a little bit scared about for these paints was that I was going to use a good amount of these little pans on the painting. Because I am using a dark, richer, deep color, I thought I was going to really dig into these paints. And some handmade watercolors, depending on the binder and the filler that they use, they can be like used up out of the little pans pretty quickly. But by the end of this painting, I was super surprised that I did not really dig into these paints at all. The ones that have the most significant dent in them are the colors that I use for the background, the indigo and the genuine Mayan green, which I used so much of those paints, and I think that they would last quite a long time just from how much I used them for one painting and how little they were used up out of the pan. And for the painting technique for this piece, I wanted to work in a lot more layers than I'm used to and to take my time, which for me personally was both frustrating and challenging in a good way. So nothing to do with these paints, just my whole process. I am very used to the Kuretake Gansai Tambi, which are opaque paints. They're not that they're like similar to gouache, but they are a thicker, creamier paint that you can achieve the deeper colors that you want really quickly. You don't have to add a lot of layers. So I am very used to the Goethite paints, which are not traditional watercolors. So I don't love Western watercolors as much as the Goethite paints because traditional watercolors take a lot more time to dry and they granulate, they're less predictable, and you have to have a lot more washes. So I'm not great at watercolors. I am trying to learn more traditional techniques and to layer properly to consider the luminosity of my paints and the paintings and all that good stuff. So I took my time for this piece. I tried to be a little bit better. I don't think I succeeded for some things like the hair. I still tried to get those deep colors that I wanted to, those deep tones, really quickly without layering. But I think that the final result is really cute and I learned a lot from this piece. I think it's like a little bit of a confusion on if I like lifting or not. I don't prefer to have to lift my paints. I really do like, this is so different than what anybody will say, I like the Goethite paints because you can put the paint down in a certain place and it won't really bleed or move around. You don't really have to lift the edges very much. They're just very convenient. When you place the color down, it stays where you want it to. So I'm used to that experience as opposed to a traditional watercolor experience. So I have like more frustration with Western watercolors when I have to lift because I really want to have smooth skin tones and like skin gradations and shadows and all that. I really like to put down smooth washes whenever I'm painting portraits on the face because I don't want there to be a lot of texture. So that's why Western watercolors kind of aggravate me a little bit, but these paints lifted really well in places that I needed them to. Just making sure that all of the colors were laid out smoothly, and they were just a real joy to work with. I really liked the end result of this painting, and I think that they really did help me learn more about the whole watercolor process and to improve. I was really interested to see how using single pigments does affect the painting process, since I'm not really used to thinking about paints that way. I have used a lot of multi-pigment blends for paints and they were fine for me. I don't mind them. I don't mind white in my paints, but I feel like those are things that I should care about or at least be informed about. So I did really enjoy using these paints, and as I said, having kind of an indulgent, high quality paint. I recommended it. I would recommend it. So my opinion, I give these a 10 out of 10. I encourage you to purchase them if you want to. I understand that they are like higher of a price, so you could buy just a pan or two depending on if you wanted to fill your palette up with some beautiful colors, or you could make a tiny little mini palette for yourself. This could be like a good Christmas present, birthday present kind of thing, just because it is a little bit more expensive. So you might not want to justify that for just a daily splurge, but it is something that I think is worth considering and worth buying. I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna have so much fun painting with these, and you can expect to see them in more videos. If you want to see how I split up these paints in little palettes, you can let me know. Like, just tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you think of these. Tell me what you think of the final painting. Give me some affirmation, please. I'm kidding. The painting in this video is the artwork for my April limited edition Patreon postcard. So if you want to grab one, you can go to patreon.com/serukatepes, my Instagram handle, to sign up for the postcard tier. It's going to be linked down in the description as well. And this painting is also available for sale in my shop. Links to everything are going to be listed down in the description. I really appreciate your support and you being here. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit that notification bell, just because it lets me know that you guys are interested in the content that I'm putting out, and I would really like to be more engaged and to do better with my videos. So just let me know your thoughts and what you would like to see for my next video. Okay, thank you so much for listening to me try these out. I love this palette. I completely recommend it. Again, links to it, all the colors I used down in the description. It was so fun, so incredibly fun to use. So if you have the urge, I would 100% recommend grabbing a little tiny mini palette for yourself from this shop. Okay. I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!